What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on ESPN with a 10-team full PPR draft where we will be selecting third overall. Should be pretty interesting as always. And while we wait for this thing to kick off, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Everything you can want at a great value. Top 150 overall player rankings in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. All the details in the description. And it's our turn to make a selection. And hand up, I did not expect that we would be at this point in time with this type of choice. But the first two picks were Christian McCaffrey, which that's not crazy, but then Justin Jefferson, which means we can select Jonathan Taylor third overall, which to me is an absolute steal. I was ready to just make do with taking Austin Eckler third overall and, be very, very happy about that. I don't think I've ever seen Jonathan Taylor in all these mock drafts that I've done fall outside of the top two. So what that means is basically, in my opinion, Justin Jefferson is a massive reach at the number 2 spot. He is going ahead of Cooper Kupp now, which, with the concerns about the Matthew Stafford elbow, kind of makes sense. I've talked about it before, but as I continue to say, if the Rams aren't worried about it, I'm not too worried about it either. So Cooper Kupp to me is still a first-round selection. And speaking of him, he went with the 5th pick overall. So within the first 5 picks, 2 wide receivers, to me, that's absolutely insane. Sure, I get it. There's going to be wide receivers taken in the first round, but to me, it should be much more at least in the middle of the first round. No chance in hell within the first 3 picks. And then probably, honestly, if it were me, I'd be doing it towards the end of the first round. Now, after the Cooper Kupp selection, you see Najee Harris, then Derrick Henry, followed by Jamar Chase. And honestly, I think that probably Jonathan Taylor, it won't be a stretch to say this, might be the best value of this entire draft, getting him third overall. Even though I love Alvin Kamara at the 109, then you see Dalvin Cook at the 110, followed by Stephon Diggs at the 201. So right now, honestly, anything that we get from here on out, to me, feels like a win. I think there might be chances we get somebody like a DeAndre Swift, somebody like a Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley. We'll see. I think all those guys are on the table as far as potential choices for us. Oh, there goes Travis Kelce. So we won't be going in that direction. That's all right. Makes our choice a little bit easier. Right now, the leaders in the clubhouse for our selection would be Swift, Fournette, Aaron Jones, and Saquon Barkley. We're going to be able to get one of those guys for sure. So I think we're in a good spot. Wide receiver-wise, I don't love any of these wide receivers necessarily. I do like Keenan Allen, but I think we can get some really good guys, in a little bit. So we're on the clock, and Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Swift were drafted. We could go CeeDee Lamb here, yes. We could go Mark Andrews, Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. I think he's a good value where we're getting him at the end of the second round. So let's add our second running back and then kind of figure out what to do in the third round once these next 5 picks are made. I think that, we might be surprised with some of the names that are still available. There goes CeeDee Lamb. So I do think probably we're going to be looking at like either Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen, something like that if we are kind of just going down the board. But if Leonard Fournette is there, Mark Andrews, those guys will be tempting. I'm not going to lie. Ooh, there goes Aaron Jones. So if we go running back, Leonard Fournette is the leader in terms of who I want to go with. And we'll see. There goes Mark Andrews as well. Oh, there goes Leonard Fournette. So basically here, I'm not going to go Javonte Williams. I'm not going to go James Conner. Nick Chubb in full PPR scoring, I'll pass on. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm curious to see how much he falls. I'm just going to go with what I think is a very safe pick here at the wide receiver position. I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. So let's go with that. Keenan Allen in full PPR scoring on a very high octane offense for the Chargers. I think every single year he's underrated, and I'm very happy to capitalize on that fact and get him as a guy that I think is probably a locked and loaded top 15 wide receiver, honestly. So now I anticipate we're going to see a run on wide receivers because we're getting to that range where there's some good value there. You got guys like Mike Evans, you've got a Michael Pittman, you've got a T. Higgins. So these names will come up shortly. There goes Nick Chubb in the middle of the third round at the 305. I understand it. I do think he is a good running back, but in fantasy football purposes, if you're not at offering me versatility as a pass catcher, I can't go with that when I have so many other great choices, especially a wide receiver. I'd take Ezekiel Elliott ahead of him. I'm just curious to see where Zeke goes, especially with some of those injuries to the offensive line. I think he probably drops a little bit. And I thought there might be an outside chance I can get him in the fourth round. We'll see. He obviously still hasn't been drafted. But after that Nick Chubb selection, you see DJ Moore, Javonte Williams, Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board towards the end of the third round at 308, then T. Higgins, then Michael Pittman, and there goes Ezekiel Elliott at the 401. So, even with the injuries to the offensive line, I still believe in Ezekiel Elliott, and the fact that now he's probably trending towards an end of the third round selection, I'm going to capitalize on that all day long. Honestly, I will. So, unfortunately, he couldn't make it back to us at the end of the fourth round. I think that was probably a little bit too much wishful thinking. But either way, so far, I'm happy with how this is going. If I can get Travis Etienne here at the end of the fourth round, to me, that's a pretty good start. I also wouldn't mind Terry McLaurin here as my number 2 wide receiver. I'm looking at other choices. Tight end, we can also go in tight end direction to get a, advantage at that position. So there's a lot of things on the table right now. We'll see. We'll see how this thing pans out within the next 2 selections. If I had to guess, I'd imagine Terry McLaurin is one of these next 2 picks. But, it's not the end of the world. David Montgomery just went. So let's see how this thing shakes up. Because I do think there's a big drop-off here after Travis Etienne in terms of running backs that I want. And that means that's probably going to be my selection here. I prefer getting, a trio of running backs that I feel good about. So that's what I'm essentially doing with that Travis Etienne pick. I didn't want to risk anybody selecting him. And, we'll see from here on out what we do. Now, sure, James Robinson, I know a lot of people are worried about, the Jaguars saying he's going to be our guy. He's going to, start the season not on the PUP list. I still continue to believe, okay, maybe we lower the projections for Etienne a little bit, but there is no way that James Robinson is going to be his former self coming off an Achilles injury that happened, late last year. So I don't understand that. I think that'd be like a medical marvel if that happened. So I'm just staying away from that situation. So right now we're back on the clock again. Marquise Brown just got selected. If we wanted to go wide receiver, Mike Williams would be the next guy up, but I've already got Keenan Allen. Here I could go tight end, and I'm really, really strongly considering it, honestly, to get that positional advantage. And, it's the 5th round. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull the trigger on George Kittle, even though these rankings have him ranked lower. I think that the rankings for the tight end position after, Kyle Pitts here on ESPN are a little bit wonky. I'm staying away from Darren Wallers because he's been, kind of MIA with a hamstring for a little while. I'm not saying that it's going to, kind of carry forward into the start of the season, but I'll go with the healthier guy right now in George Kittle. So if it wasn't Kittle, I would have gone wide receiver. I probably would have gone with an Allen Robinson, something like that. But I think there's an outside chance we get him at the, what would that be, at the end of the 6th round. So let's see if that gamble pays off. I was also kind of low-key contemplating going with quarterback, but I think, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're looking at the quarterbacks that are still available. Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. Those would be the 3 guys that I would have been considering. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes as well. And if one of those guys is still on the board at the end of the 6th round, it's going to be tough to pass up on him. But right now, I like the way this thing is going. I'm pretty happy with the results. After our George Kittle selection, you see Mike Williams, Patrick Mahomes, J.K. Dobbins, Breece Hall, Brennan Cooks. I'm not really touching J.K. Dobbins. Similar to what I said about Nick Chubb, if you're not a versatile running back, a pass-catching guy, and then on top of that, Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, I'm going to pass. Breece Hall, if you guys have been following me, I've been out on Breece Hall for a while. Look, am I putting much stock in the fact that Jets are saying Michael Carter is the starter for the season? I mean, not more than I was before. Like when I was worried about Michael Carter being there, I just think it's going to be a situation where they're split carries, and it's kind of a backfield that I think is going to be playing from behind a lot. It has more to do with what I think of the Jets than what I think of Michael Carter, but also that is something to consider. So Breece Hall hasn't really been on my radar, and I don't want to force a Breece Hall selection just because he's expected to be the top rookie running back. So for that reason, he wasn't somebody that I was going after big time. Now here, we're getting close. We're 2 picks away, and unless these next 2 picks are Lamar and Allen Robinson, we're in a good spot to get one of the guys that we really like. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Lamar Jackson here, I do have him ranked a little bit higher than Justin Herbert, but pairing Justin Herbert with a stack with Keenan Allen, that's also pretty tempting. So I might go in that direction. I think that Allen Robinson can fall to us. There's some other wide receivers ahead of him here with these next 4 picks, like Judy, Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas. So I think there's a chance we can get Allen Robinson with our next selection, but we'll see. Let's see what if these teams have a quarterback. No, they do not. Oh, you got to be kidding me. We just got sniped on Allen Robinson. Wow. Okay, well, I did not expect that. Okay, well, we're going to pivot, I guess. We're going to go with, you know what? Let's get our little stack. Let's get our stack of Justin Herbert and then Keenan Allen. So I'm going to do that. We now have got, let's pull up our team. Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Keenan Allen, George Kittle, Travis Etienne. There goes Darren Waller. There goes Lamar Jackson. So here, I'm going to go with another wide receiver. I'm going to go with somebody that I really like. I'm going to go with, if he's there, I should preface it, I'm going to go with Juju Smith-Schuster. He is. I think he's being underrated. So let's go with Juju here. We're still in a good spot where I think that, we have a lot of wide receiver depth. So I'm not too worried. Now, yes, would I have preferred to go with Allen Robinson? Absolutely, but literally gets sniped 1 pick away from us. I probably would have gone Allen Robinson first and then gone with whatever quarterback was left over. But either way, I think we're going to miss out on one or the other here because, we saw Lamar and Kyler Murray both go off the board. And then Allen Robinson, again, went before our selection. So it's all right. I think at the end of the day, we did all right. Can't complain too much. Again, folks, we got Jonathan Taylor with the 3rd pick in the 1st round. Then we got Saquon Barkley at the end of the 2nd. Feel good about that. We got Keenan Allen as our anchor at wide receiver, all reliable. We were able to get a difference maker at the tight end position. We were able to get depth at running back in Travis Etienne. We've got a top 5 quarterback in Justin Herbert. And then now the name of the game is to start adding quality depth pieces that you really like. And I think we're going to be able to do that here at wide receiver. Let's see what happens. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we're going to have some choices here. So after our Juju pick, you see Dalton Schultz, you see Jerry Jeudy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Gabe Davis, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Dameon Pierce, whose stock has been going way up. You know, I like to see that. I've said before, that he's a target for potential late round running backs. Obviously, you won't be able to get him as late now, but my knock, if you will, for Pierce has always been just keep in fact that he's still on the Houston Texans. They're probably going to be playing from behind a lot. But either way, we're back on the clock here. I want to go with a wide receiver. I want to get some wide receiver depth. I'm going to start with Elijah Moore, and then hopefully we can get, actually, no. I'm going to go with the guy that I have a little bit higher. Than if we can get Elijah Moore afterwards, great. I went with Allen Lazard first because, honestly, I got sniped yet again. Rashad Bateman with this last pick. I was hoping he could fall to us. I would have been very, very happy with that. And then get, Allen Lazard in the next round, but kind of had to pivot a little bit. That's all right. Like I said, I think we're still in that spot where the wide receiver position relatively deep. So I will be okay with however this thing turns out. We can get a DeAndre Hopkins who, once he comes back from his suspension, it's a little bit of a luxury pick, but I think we can afford it here in a 10-team league where our roster looks pretty good, where we've got good depth, etc. He's somebody to consider. Oh, there goes Elijah Moore. Man, we are. So I feel like, the people on the other side of this are listening to us, but, it's okay. We've got a lot of choices. I'm not worried. So, yeah, let's go with DeAndre Hopkins here. A little bit of a luxury pick. It's okay. But our wide receiver position, I really like how it looks. Hopkins, once he returns, is going to be, I think he's going to be a low-end wide receiver one, a high-end wide receiver two. Pair that with Keenan, pair that with Juju. We're in a good spot here, folks. We're in a really good spot. Now I think, we can kind of look back to the running back position to see where the value lies there. So Rashad Penny's still there. I'm out on Antonio Gibson this year. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Melvin Gordon is a good value. Naheem Hines is a good value. So there's good options at this point in time. Let's see. Darrell Henderson ain't a bad value either. Let's see what's left at quarterback. This is why I don't like going quarterback early, because there's still guys like a Dak, a Joe Burrow, a Matthew Stafford, a Trey Lance, a Derek Carr, still all available. And that's, it's tough from that perspective to justify taking a top-notch quarterback earlier on. But I wanted to, I got a little bit selfish. I wanted to get that stack with him, with Keenan Allen, and just, try and get a positional advantage at quarterback. So right now, we'll make one last selection here for you guys so we can build out a little bit more depth. But, starting to look forward to kind of grading out this roster. Herbert, top 5 quarterback, not too much to nitpick there. We got Jonathan Taylor, the 101 in a lot of people's minds. We paired him up with Barkley and ETN. Feel good about that. We got Kittle, a top 5 tight end. Then our wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Lazard, DeAndre Hopkins. I like that situation a lot, personally. So I think this is a solid, like a B plus A type of roster. Right now, what are we looking at running back wise? So, yeah, Rashad Penny was selected. Oh, well. It is what it is. I'm not going to force a selection here for the sake of it. Wide receiver, Brendan Ayuk may be kind of tempting. I don't know. But honestly, I might just get a little bit kind of cute and, add some tight end depth. If something happens to George Kittle, I'm going to get a guy that I really like, Cole Kmet, for this season. So that's how we're going to wrap this thing up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Along with any other questions you guys might have. I'll do my best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Get yourself a copy, everything you want at a great price. Details in the description. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.